Evening, one and all. Welcome back to Rags and Jacks at 7 o'clock on Sunday night. Next week, we won't be here because I'll be in a different house. And my co host will be somewhere else. So we'll be back the week after, hopefully. So, I'd like to thank Spanish, Chicken, Mark, and Dottie, Sheila, Dot, for their coffees. Very much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
And would you like to do a roll call? I see Levy's in. Rachel's
Yarp.
Yarp.
Yarp. Hello to Kate, my lovely. Bert, M. Ugly Truth. Is it time now? It's time right now. Ams, hello, my lovely. How's Finland doing today? Jackson French the second. That's Bert again. Council Estate Rage. Hello, my lovely. How are you? Paul O'Neill. House moving. Did landlord sell up or evict you? The property is needed for migrants. No. Well, it might end up with no. I'll let Rags explain that. Livy, hello, my lovely, and Mouse Cat. That's all so far.
No. Well, my landlord isn't that stupid. She would not allow migrants in here, especially in around this neighbourhood. So she might
tell him the reason you're moving. We've been waiting 5 years.
No, I've been waiting 15 years. I've been on the council list for 15 years, and then when me and the ex split up, I had to resubmit an application. And this place here has steps and stairs up the back and stuff on it. And when you're like this, that's no good. So I have a purpose-built bungalow for myself, for people with disabilities, and a wet room and 2 bedrooms, one for the daughter to stay over at weekends and stuff. Large living room, decent kitchen with what's it got? It's got a mobile thing, but it's got gas heating. Never had gas heating. I'm not sure about that stuff. So if you don't hear from me about the next week, I've blown a place up.
Hey, Toffee. Hello, William, mate.
William's Toffee. Evening, folks. So this is a call-in show. Now, Bitnick said he might come on, but I haven't seen him yet. So I'm going to drop the link into the chat, and the first one that clicks on it will come in, get William on. Where's the invite button? Close that and come on and have a chat and tell us what's going on in their world.
Hi, I've been rough for a couple of days. I swallowed a tablet. I think it was Friday, and it got caught right at the back, like in the soft tissue, at the back of the throat, and it got stuck there, and I couldn't get any juice or food to get it down, and it just fizzed away, and it's still burning now. Horrible. Gas heating is shit. Can't beat an open fire. Yeah, you didn't have very good luck with your open fire in this place, did you, mate?
Yeah, hence the redecorating twice.
How many times did it blow
out? 3 times. It blew out the first time. I painted the place. Then it blew out the second time, and then we painted the place, and then it blew out the third time, and I just didn't bother. I just left it. So.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, that'll be in your new pack, won't it? You get a pack when you move in, don't you?
Yeah.
All that stuff will be in there.
Yeah, well, I stupidly went and bought a fridge thinking I was going to another property. Big fridge for 550 quid. But the people I'm signing up with now provide washing machine, tumble dryer, fridge, cooker, the works. So I don't need the stuff that I have stashed away. So I now have it up for sale. So nobody's coming in.
That's all right.
I'll drop that in again.
I didn't even see you drop it in the first time. Oh yeah. There you go.
That's back
Yeah,
in
I think it's it'll be. I imagine it'll be low on numbers tonight anyway because it's been a beautiful weekend apparently.
Mhm.
So
Plus, there's a lot of protests going on all over the
yeah,
place.
yeah. My mum was at one. My mum
Mhm.
was at one in Dublin with her husband.
Well,
Um,
she wasn't at the anti-immigration one. She was at the free.
no, national protest garden at the Garden of Remembrance. That one. That one. She was at today. Yeah, it is the 22nd today, isn't it? Yeah, it's today. Yeah.
So,
um,
I'm going to show you this. This is from Dublin today.
yeah.
Present. Here, screen. Where am I at here? Nick Keefe. Let me know you can hear this, people.
Oh yeah. Where's the counter? Where's that counter? This is a public road. I checked with Fingal. Why are you blocking the road?
No, because
Take the counter out. This is a public road. I checked with Fingal there. You're blocking cars coming in the road.
no.
But this is a public road.
Only residents.
Sorry?
Because residents.
Who?
Right?
Who?
You live here. Yeah, it's okay.
No. This is a
No.
public road.
Yes.
Any cars can come up and down here. Who gives you the right to put the counter?
I removed the cone, but because the guys
The guys what?
from the parade.
From which? Yeah, from the mosque. Yeah.
But the car park is very small.
Yeah. The old building, and you can see them all inside there praying out down on the ground here. Yeah, right. There's nobody up there, there's not. There's nobody up there. I'll be taking this up with Fingal County Council. No, it doesn't matter. I'll be taking this up with Fingal County Council that you're blocking the road here, yeah? I'll make a complaint.
That, folks, is the state of Ireland at the minute.
I just took the cone and fucking thrown it in the bush.
Yep.
Well, all just took it with me. It's not going to go anywhere if you complain, is it?
Yeah.
Look, it's me, mum, and a fella today at the old protests. They were down there in Dublin.
Right?
Yeah.
Months from. Lots of stuff from Michael Keefe.
Everyone reckons you look like you've changed a different shade of colour. Everyone reckons you look a bit more like Barry White. There you go. They reckon. Do you know what they reckon? They reckon I just got you in your wheelchair and put you out in the sun. Didn't that used to happen to fucking Eddie Kidd? Remember this? He was a stunt rider, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, who just paraplegic, right? And one of his wives just used to put him outside in the wheelchair in the sun all day.
I first seen him. He came to Korean Football Stadium. I think I was it was early 80s, so I was 11 or 12 or something. And he came to the football stadium in Korean, and he jumped a couple of cars and he jumped a couple of caravans and this, that, and the other, popped wheelies and stuff. And I thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
And then he came out with a movie. I don't know if can anybody tell me what the movie that Eddie Kidd star in?
Couldn't tell you.
Riding High. No, he
the
was.
main
Evil
Evil
Knievel.
Knievel.
He was the fucking dog's bollocks. He broke every bone on his body twice. So
They used to like jump like I haven't seen it for a while, but they still do things like that where like people jump like gorges and sort of things. Yeah.
Evil Knievel invented a rocket cycle and tried to jump the Grand Canyon, and the thing pittled off the end and fell. You know, and next minute the parachute opened. That's the only reason he survived.
People used to go off like roll down in barrels though, off the Grand Canyon and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Down the waterfalls.
That's Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, that's right, yeah, Niagara.
Yeah, Houdini did that. Chained him up, put him in the barrel, and rolled him off. There, and he came out at the bottom unscathed and escaped all the chains and stuff.
Yeah, Refusenick's Sean makes a point there. You're joking, the soy-ridden yokes these days. Like, yeah, but that's what we were always up to, like trying to find bits of wood and bricks and fucking things to make jumps with. And
an old friend of mine sent me photographs that she had found in a tin box somewhere in her house, and it was me with long hair.
How long?
Way down here.
Yeah.
Rally chopper with BMX handlebars on it, jumping over people, getting them to lie down, jump over 3 bikes first, and then put people on the end of 3 bikes.
Yeah, rows of people. Yeah, I remember that. You being on the end as well. You're on the end. You're like, oh, if it all goes wrong, I'm the one coughing it.
No. So, I'll just stick this link in again, see if anybody wants to comment. So, yeah. So, what are we talking about now?
I don't know. I mean, like, what did you want to talk about?
Here's another one.
All right, Johnny Palmer.
Yeah. Share screen. Now, this is a sacred place in
County Louth.
County Louth. No, that's the wrong one. That's it there. Now, really see this, folks. This is the state of Ireland at the minute. It's bloody shameful. Right? Ancient landmark in the Irish Republic. Ah, you bastard. Where did that go?
Did that literally get yeeted in real time?
I think it did. So, where are we at here? Irish countryside. Here's one.
I've got a fucking fly. It's not a pet one either.
The sun, we pull up and crash it. None of them man are on badness. So why not the window and bang it? My little bro died with blood on his knife. It's an honorable death for a savage. 2 in the neck, 3 in the chest. We don't do normal stabbings. Splish, splash, big facts. More time it's cool, that's crashing. There's one chat back gang, but it's Afghanistan. We pull up and crash it. None of them man are on badness. So why not the window and bang it?
It's white, that geezer.
Blood on his knife. It's an honorable death for a savage. 2 in the neck, 3 in the chest. We don't do normal stabbings. Splish, splash, big facts. More time it's cool, that's crashing. There's one chat back gang, but it's Afghanistan. We pull up and crash it.
It looks white, that geezer.
No, he looks fairly tanned.
No, there's one of them that look white. Yeah, grime is awful music, isn't it? I think it should be fucking banned. So, okay, well, yeah, I know that I've been listening to a bit of the news today. America have bombed Iran now, haven't they?
Yes.
Bombed a facility in Iran, but again, it doesn't look like they've done any real damage to it. So,
they hit a nuclear facility and a military base, apparently.
in a mountain.
Yeah.
on a mountain, right? But again, it doesn't look like it's really done any fundamental damage to the actual facility.
Wiggification. I'm stealing that word, historical doppelganger. So,
but yeah, well, Trump's like, if he's going to lose so much of his base, he's called Thomas Massey a loser, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Or, but like again, like the behest of Israel, America do their bidding.
Yes. Well, Odin's Man, who's now changed his channel name because YouTube demonetized him. They owed him something like $32,000 in revenue, and they withheld it. His new channel, he put up a poll, and he said if they started conscriptions and started drafting people, would you go? And 78% of the poll said no way. They're not going to fight for this, and they're not going to fight for a certain country. We all know which one, which controls America and the American Senate and everything else. They said not a chance, so they wouldn't go.
Yeah, so well, it controls every aspect of the country, doesn't it? Really?
Yes. If you look at the Senate members of the Senate, you can look it up online. It's freely available. So I'm not saying anything that's not through YouTube. Senators with dual citizenship, they have dual citizenship with America, and it's not Botswana. You can't say that word on here.
Hey, Baz, mate.
4x2. So that's Lumian. So
bonsoir.
So what else have we got here? Oh, you have to see its date of this. I started following this guy. It's called White Ghost on X. He posts some really good stuff. Will you see this?
What have you just made me watch?
Fucking cultural enrichment, I think.
Jesus
wept.
When John says no tap, he means the opposite, by the way. I've learned that. I've learned his code.
Oh, somebody else put something. It's funny. Funny. So nobody's coming on. Bert's now blind.
Mind bleach.
Sorry about that, Bert.
Hey, Dottie. Thank you earlier. Thank you, my lovely.
Yeah, so if you weren't in earlier, Dottie, we thank you for your coffee. So, the chat's on fire tonight. You have to laugh. You really have to laugh because it's been forced upon us, and it has been forced upon us, and it has been forced upon us. So, who was it? Home.
Yes, someone get on. John, I've not been well, mate. It's not my usual state of mind. I've been a bit rough the last couple of days, and I've got fucking present to myself as homeless on Wednesday morning and see where I end up, and that could be in anywhere. So yeah, it's not a good few days looking forward to, but I'll let you all know where I do end up. if I can.
Right, where do you see this? This has been kicking off on X all day, right? You called and we came, right? Now just remember that, folks. You called and we came. 77 years anniversary of the Windrush tribute. Right? So I posted this underneath. History debunked. So
Yeah.
go to history debunked.
Yeah.
Who had decided to come and chance their luck in Britain. This event has become encrusted with so many myths and legends that a false version of what happened that day has now become almost universally accepted as the truth. Here is a good summary of that fake history. In 2018, an article called "You Called and We Came" appeared in the journal Therapy Today, and the opening sentences tell the untruthful story in a nutshell. I quote, "On the 22nd of June 1948, the Empire Windrush arrived at Tilbury Docks, Essex, with 492 passengers on board. Most of the passengers were from the Caribbean islands that formed part of the Commonwealth and had been invited over by the British government to help with the post-war reconstruction and workforce shortages." I give a link to this article in the description to the video. Various versions of this statement have been appearing in the run-up to Windrush Day, and viewers will certainly hear and see many times today that Caribbeans came to Britain after the war to help rebuild this country. The Royal Mint endorses this version of events in their advertisement for the 50p coin, which they've released commemorating the arrival of the Empire Windrush. I give a link to this too in the description to this video. We read of the Caribbeans who arrived in the post-war years. They played a pivotal role in rebuilding the UK after the Second World War. This then is been repeated so often now that it is accepted unquestioningly by people in this country. You called and we came, rebuilding the UK after the Second World War. Let us begin with the HMT Empire Windrush, which was heading to Britain in 1948 from Australia. It was carrying servicemen, various British passengers, and also some Polish people who had been picked up in Mexico.
As you do.
Plenty of room on board, and so the shipping company decided to see if they could increase their profits a little by advertising places for those from Jamaica who wished to travel to Britain. On April the 15th, an advertisement appeared in the Jamaican Daily Gleaner, which simply read, "Passenger opportunity to the United Kingdom. Troop ship Empire Windrush sailing about May 23rd. Fares, cabin class £48, troop deck £28. Royal Mail Lines Limited at 8 Port Royal Street." That's it. And I give a link to this advertisement, also in the description to this video. This was nothing to do with the British government, and nor were any offers of work or employment made in the advertisement. Nobody was asking for any Caribbeans to come here. It was simply said that tickets were available. The British government was not pleased when they heard that a bunch of Caribbeans were heading to Britain, but there was little that could be done to prevent them from landing. The Colonial Office, though, said that they would take steps to discourage similar waves of immigration. And the truth is that nobody really wanted people to come to this country from the Caribbean. This, then, is what you might call the founding myth of the Windrush generation. Those Caribbeans on the Windrush came here at our invitation to help rebuild Britain. They did not. They were not invited. They simply turned up. But wait a minute. Surely we wanted people to come from the West Indies to work on the buses and railways and so on. What about all those nurses? Surely we invited them. In the decade following the end of the Second World War, what one might describe, not inaptly, as the post-war years, between 1,000 and 2,000 Caribbeans a year travelled to Britain on spec, as it were. It was a drop in the ocean, for the working age population in Britain in the mid-1950s was 30 million. And by 1955, perhaps 8,000 or 9,000 Caribbeans had come. It was a tiny drop in the ocean, really. There weren't enough of them to make any difference about rebuilding anything. In any case, they had not been invited, but came to this country because their prospects seemed better than in their own countries. In Barbados, to give one example, the unemployment rate was an incredible 25%, and people were desperate for work and money. They couldn't get it in their own country, so they would try elsewhere. It was this which drove them to come to Britain, rather than any desire to help the motherland, another expression you will perhaps see bandied about today in the mass media. Anybody who really wants to know what Caribbeans coming to this country were saying and thinking, what motivated them to come here, could do worse than read this book. It's The Lonely Londoners by Samuel Selber. It was written in 1955 and published in 1956. He was an immigrant from Trinidad. It's brilliantly written, and it describes perfectly the Caribbean community at that time in London. The chief motivation of those arriving was personal advancement. In other words, getting a job and having a higher standard of living than they would enjoy in the West Indies. Rebuilding Britain or helping the mother country are not mentioned. The first action taken by a British employer to recruit workers from the Caribbean did not take place until 1956, 11 years after the end of the war, by which time most of the rebuilding had already been done. This recruiting drive was in any case undertaken at the request of a Caribbean nation to help out that country rather than for the benefit of Britain. In Barbados, about a quarter of the workforce was standing idle, and there was widespread.
Right, enough of that. But we all know they weren't invited, you know. So this here, Windrush and all these people getting off the boat and all pictured happy and wearing suits and stuff.
Well, John Palmer said quite a while back now about how his nan was down there at Tilbury Docks.
He said that on a stream he was on with us live one night, and he said that, and she was it tea and crumpets or biscuits or something like that there. So it's all along.
But they'd never seen black people in Tilbury. Never seen them. It was like my dad not seeing a banana till he was about 6.
Yeah. Now we have this in Britain. Oh, especially London.
Carnival in Notting Hill, London. Carnival in Notting Hill, London.
Yep. And how many people are killed at that every year, Jack?
Oh, it's at least 2 or 3, and like there's an argument in there. There's an argument for completely for banning it on the fact that it will save a couple of lives. One of them, I think, was it last year or the year before, was just like some
Japanese
Scandinavian. I thought it was a Scandinavian tourist.
Scandinavian.
Yeah, I know. I know John. John knows. I know John knows who started Notting Hill Carnival. That wasn't it wasn't an organic Caribbean start to that movement.
Who actually owned the Windrush ship?
I can't remember her name. I have to look it up.
Two brothers. Organised South America. Of the
Yeah,
trade.
they were picking up Polish people in Mexico.
That's I didn't get that to start with. I know they were dropping Australian soldiers back off to Australia. Yeah, get that. But they were picking up Polish people in freaking Mexico.
Perhaps Claudia Jones. Was it Claudia Jones? John, is that who I'm thinking of? Perhaps now that's why Mexican's female president is called Claudia Scheinbaum.
Country, majority Roman Catholic country.
Yeah.
Claudia Scheinbaum. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like, what the fuck? So,
I remember Joe Rogan being told that fact and he couldn't quite believe it.
Now, if anybody wants to jump in and have a chat, because we'll not be here next week, folks. So there's the link in the chat.
I've never been to it, Toffee. I've never been to it. I know Mickey Mouse Cat used to go to it. Back in the day. Yeah, I wouldn't go to it, man. Fuck that. And Lilith, thank you for your kind offer, mate. But I'm over in Ulster. I'm over the water. I'm gonna try and get a place sorted here. Appreciate your.
Brick must get settled here because there's a lot of white flight out of England heading towards Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Because every time I go shopping, I hear more and more English accents, Scottish accents, and Welsh accents all the time. And even the wee kids that's running around with them are all talking like with English accents. So they've literally moved their whole family to Northern Ireland to get away from diversity.
Yeah, and I mean, because like you can if you've got like an office job, you can do remotely, and you don't need to be in an office. House prices, what you can get for your money over here, like, is so much more than like like a fucking like a shoebox flat in London for like $6,000 a month rent on it, and that like what you could get for $6,000 a month mortgage.
Mm-hmm. 4-bedroom house here with twin garage and an acre of land around it for about £150,000.
Yeah,
4-bedroom bungalow. Now,
mm-hmm.
I know up north,
and also you can build here if you get like the right paperwork. You can build. What about that house we drive past all the time? That poor old fella built for his missus who ran off with someone in New York. Yeah, it's fucking. But like, you can build something like that, for what you'd pay outright for a house.
Ballymoney's full of country lanes, and I took Jack past a house that has been sitting dormant for about 10 years, and it's brand spanking new. Nobody's ever lived in it. Your fella's mother and father actually comes.
They just maintain it, don't they?
They come and maintain it and make sure it's clean and stuff like that there.
Because we have the word maintenance in our language.
So, story goes, the fella was getting married. He was looking forward to getting married, and his wedding present to his new wife was this brand spanking new house. And one side of the house is just completely glass.
Yeah, huge glass windows.
Huge glass windows, spiral staircases, the works. This place is beautiful, like. And about a week before the wedding, she fucked up.
Some fella in New York, wasn't it?
Yeah, some fella in New York. So,
evening, Black Pigeon Phil, buddy.
Where's Black Pigeon? Yeah, drop the link and he can come in.
Yeah, you want to jump in for 10 minutes, Black Pigeon? Black Pigeon Phil.
Tell us what you're doing.
Got one of my horses. Oh, no one is fucking getting that land. Yeah. How many horses have you got, Lilith? You ride them, just keep them. Yeah, you know, down south is a lot more fucked than us because they're. I know we're not really out of Europe, like so to speak, but it was what you told me what they were doing, like when the Rwanda plan, but when the Rwanda plan was
Yes.
being talked about, and that a load of
They all headed south over the border.
they all went over to the south, yeah, and claimed asylum down there, and then but they don't get as much benefits, I don't think, do they? Someone from the south want to tell me.
There was a video out, and one guy was getting $2,000 a month off the Irish government, and he was just waiting for a house for him and his family. He was from, where was it, Trinidad or something? I didn't think Trinidad was at war.
Well, they've been at war, maybe they're having a war with Tobago.
Rescue horse.
Oh, lovely. That's my fucking ultimate dream, actually, in life. I've told people this before. I would love to have enough money just to have a lovely, nice big property, and I'd just have a no-kill sanctuary for animals. You're joking, Jack. They get well looked after down here. Mm.
Mm-hmm. You see them standing in queues, and as soon as the new housing development goes up,
I've seen the footage.
There's a queue round the corner for about half a mile.
I've seen the footage. Yeah,
one Irish person standing in the queue because they know they're not getting it. You know.
Mm. Hello, Coco Witch. Haven't seen that name before.
No. Welcome to the chat, Coco Witch.
These notifications are a pain in the arse. They're all right, they are. And Scrappy Doo. You're right, they are. I hated that character in that cartoon.
Well, you don't have to have a camera on, kid. You can just use your mic.
I think people would prefer it, but
yes, especially if you're wet and naked. Yeah. Black Pigeon build.
Hello, how's it going?
Hello. How are you?
Very good, thanks, mate. Very good. Yeah, glad to be back on the show for a bit. How's it keeping with you guys?
Yeah, we're all right. We're not. This is the last stream for the foreseeable. Hopefully, not for too long.
Oh yeah.
Rags is moving next weekend, so I'm away from here this Wednesday, and they can't do anything. So I emailed the housing executive Wednesday just gone to tell them in a week's time I'm officially homeless, and they said we can't do anything till that day. You have to ring us that morning.
Really?
So,
yeah. That sucks, man.
Yeah. We'll try and find you. We'll try and find you some temporary accommodation, but it might mean you have to go up to Derry, or an hour's drive from where I am, whatever. But to like a B&B or something. That's all right. It's the way it is. I've got a fallback plan, but it means moving down south, and that's not what I want to do.
Right.
Because we're moving down south temporarily when all of my business will have to be conducted up here in person. It's just the fuel. It's just
yeah. I can imagine. Sounds hectic.
So I know, if really push comes to shove, I have got somewhere to go that's warm and it's a house.
Yeah. No,
yeah, not the worst time of year to be homeless. I just I'll camp out of the car.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, you're asking what I've been up to. I was preparing a speech for an event coming up in August for Jonathan Bowden again. That's why I've got his logo as my avatar. I couldn't actually find the adapted Black Pigeon Speaks one, which I modded. So I just decided to go in with Bowden. And yeah, he's taken up quite a lot of my my spare time in the recent past few weeks or months, I'd say.
Well, I can tell from the last time. Could tell from the
Yeah,
last
that was
time
back
you were
in.
on. You know.
That's right. Yeah, that was back in May, I think, if memory serves. There was a conference that I put on in London, and that was fun. But yeah, I was going to say, just in reference to your housing accommodation, Jack, that I think it was Colin Wilson. I think he was a writer back in the 50s, 60s. He used to camp out in Hampstead Heath, I think, during the summer, which obviously when it's weather like that and it's pleasant and, you can easily do it. But these days they probably have, security guards telling you to move on. Although I did realize that I think wasn't it this week or recently, the Labour government have made rough sleeping not a crime anymore, and I guess
Vagrancy Act.
Yeah, like they've really repealed it. I'm guessing that the consequences for that though will be that there will be a lot more rough sleepers, simply because it's no longer a crime, so therefore they can find somewhere to sleep themselves, rather than government mandated accommodation.
They're going to be emptying the hotels, right, as they pledged to do. And then these people, it will start tent cities.
Yeah.
And it won't be illegal for them to do so.
So
there'll be lots of places starting to resemble kind of like Paris, a friend of mine went over there.
Well, Dublin's already got tent cities.
Really?
Dublin's bad for it, All these little rows of tents and that little 1-man, 2-man tents. Rag, did you not have that video of the guy in the tarpaulin in London the other day? It's just a guy wrapped in a bit of tarpaulin, and like the people are walking past him, and he's just having a wank under it. And he
was in a full body sleeping bag.
Was it? I thought it was like a bit of tarpaulin. Yeah, people just walking past. That's the thing, though. It just becomes so normalised to see that, doesn't it?
What's the one in Dublin? And there's a song about it. Irish guys in the chat and help me out here. It's at the Grand Canal, and it runs through this very, very sort of posh, obviously buildings, but at the very end of it, where it's sort of all run down and dilapidated, it's just tent after tent after tent after tent after tent. And then these Irish guys are going into forests, big massive parks. People go to exercise and walk, and children go to play and stuff. And next minute they're seeing smoke coming out of the forest, the trees at the side. And the boy walks down in with the camera, and there's 12 of them standing, cooking something over a barbecue, and they're staying in the hotel across from the park, and they're celebrating somebody's birthday. And you're sort of going, now if I was to do that in the park here or anywhere, the police would arrest me, put the fire out and arrest me. Not these people. No, they get to do whatever they want. So that's why you have all the protests in Ireland today. And it's a sea of green, white, and gold. I think it was Dublin, somewhere else. See, Paul Neal, he's Irishman. 10 cities. Yeah.
No, I mean, there was a lot of commotion down in my part of the world where, like, predominantly like Syrian, I guess, like Muslim refugees, asylum seekers would hunt sheep and goats on the moors. So, like places like Devonmore, like Exmoor, places like this, they would actually hunt wild animals and then start fires and cook them and everything, and like they weren't being troubled by the police at all. So this stuff just does go on. That said, though, from what you were saying, Rags, there was I think it was a photo, and I think it may have been America as well. It probably wasn't this country, but there was like this homeless guy. I think he had a what's the word for it? Like a hat where people could just throw their loose change or something in just to give him something. But he was looking very dishevelled, and he had an Oculus Rift head, whatever you call it, like a thing over his head, and he had a tent there and everything. But he was like, even though he was homeless and just in a very, very bad, precarious situation, he had an Oculus Rift, and so he was somewhere else visually, and imagining his scenario being very different, I guess. And it's kind of like, it kind of does typify or typify that kind of strange circumstance which AI and I guess technology makes possible now. So people find themselves in a bad situation. They can put the Oculus Rift on and imagine themselves somewhere else. So,
well, you have we call that blonde lady on GB News,
Dewberry.
Michelle Dewberry. She gets a taxi into work every day, and she comes past this roundabout, and it's a really large roundabout, and it's got a clump of trees in the middle of it, and there's tents in amongst the trees. And Neil Patrick Christie went to this roundabout to interview him, and not one of them could speak a word of English. And this woman came out with her face covered and started yelling and shouting in some foreign language, and tell him to go away and not film them. You can't film me. You can't film. You don't know the law in England. You can public film anywhere, on public land. So turns out then she goes into the tent and she brings out a jar or something. I don't know what it was. It could have been water. It could have been urine. It could have been anything, and lashes it round him, and still laughing and blinding in some foreign language. These people have been not allowed to stay. They've been told they're not allowed to stay, but they're not being deported. They're still in the country. It makes no sense, Pigeon.
Well, we're becoming an island of strangers, aren't we?
Yes. Oh,
I saw a video the other day. I don't know if it was you that actually shared it with me, Rags, and it was a little RSPCA officer, brown RSPCA officer, but she was in some migrant's house. You can tell it was a migrant's garden because they had like the upturned shopping trolley that they use as barbecues and stuff in the back garden, and then it was just it was a scene from fucking hell. And they had she went in there and she's looking. There's a great big fucking cooking pot on, and she pulled out this great big neck of some bird. And then she went in their back garden, was looking for her rubbish, and there was all white feathers in that because they've been poaching swans.
Yeah, and you can't kill swans in England because they're protected. They're the king's bird.
By the crown.
But there's videos of ones walking down the road with a swan under his arm.
I've seen the one in Italy as well, where the guy's just casually just barbecuing a cat, isn't he?
Yes.
On the street, on the hot coals. The woman's freaking out. That was years ago. I saw that.
That was in France. People's pets.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when all the Haitians rocked up into America.
Ohio, wasn't it? Wasn't it Ohio?
And Trump was like, "They're eating the cats.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats." Here, the Black Pigeon. Did you actually see Keir Starmer groveling to Trump about not firing on Iran? Because what happens?
No, I haven't actually.
What happens when America goes to the Middle East? What do we end up with? More refugees. More refugees. Yeah. So he says, please don't fire on Iran. Don't do anything in Iran because we'll end up with the refugees. And that's all been happening for years. That's why we have so much problems. But no, he had grovelled and begged Trump not to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different relationship now between like Keir Starmer and Donald Trump compared to, say, Bush and Blair back in like the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Britain had a reputation for being, America's lapdog, poodle Blair.
Yeah, I remember the images. Yeah. I remember the images. Like it would be like, George Bush stroking a poodle version of Blair.
Well, Tim Davies and a video on it today about the British Army, and the people are in charge of the British Army now, and it's some RAF base. I think it's Bryce.
Yeah, they got broken into by Friends of Palestine or something, and they threw a load of paint down one of this, sprayed a load of paint down one of the plane's engines, and that's written that engine off.
Well,
About
Tim
£30
Davies,
million.
Tim Davies actually came out with a thing, a cost analysis of what it's going to cost to fix them, and it's something like they don't actually own the engines in the planes. They
No,
have to do that.
it's a lease. Still. Lease still.
Really? Oh man, that really is. That's so they don't actually. I mean, I did read somewhere that apparently they're actually getting rid of seats on planes, so that when you board a flight, say to Berlin or Madrid or what have you, they're actually going to. Yeah, you're going to have to stand up, and there might be some, wall protection so that you actually, you're buckled in and you're on the wall, but you still have to stand. Like they're getting rid of the seats entirely. And it's
I saw that. And it wasn't.
That made my day. That did. Like you were saying that they don't actually own the engines. It's just like hyper capitalism. Like every single company, like every single bar, it's all installed by someone else.
David in the chat there says Bryce Norton is it's an airbase. Yes.
Yeah.
My brother was stationed there. But as far as I know, the Americans have an underground base at Bryce Norton, which is a listening station. Because one of them, I think it was Paddy, he signed a thing for the government and he went and wired it all up. And he was on big money for that there. And he says it's like 6 stories down. There's 6 different levels, and it's just mainframe computers. And they're listening to everything you say. They're watching every WhatsApp message, every text, you name it. So, sorry. But no, apparently the engines in the planes, it's something like £35 million for the one engine. That engine will have to be taken out, stripped, and rebuilt by the company that builds them. I don't know if it's Rolls-Royce or whatever. So they're made to order. So when you order that plane, engines are made for that plane. They're not sitting with a warehouse full of jet engines for them planes. So how long does it take to assemble a jet engine? Or make one from scratch?
Well, it's not just building one. It goes through if jet engines have to go through a whole testing regime as well. I worked at a site down in Devon that takes the brand new Rolls-Royce engines in, and then they fire them all up and run them at like stress. They stress test them,
Yeah, but
before they even get put on a plane.
Did you see the security? And who's head of security at Bryce Norton? It's a female. And there's a fence that you could pop over. But they said they couldn't afford to fence it all in properly because it's
8 miles.
It's 8 miles.
8 miles of perimeter.
Yes.
And you asked the question, Ragnar, like who is the head of security at Bryce Norton? I would have just thought, Mr. Blobby.
Yeah. Well,
it wouldn't surprise me.
They were the first RAF airbase to have a rainbow crossing put outside as well. If that makes you feel anything more secure as well.
Well, Tim Davies talked about that today because he was stationed at the time that went in, and they assured him it was nothing to do with LGBTQ or anything like that there. It was just for the kids to come to visit the base. It was just for kids, right? And then he pops up today with a heading on their website because the RAF something RAF support LGBTQ communities, and that's why the rainbow walkway crossing went in. And then talking about us going to war. Everybody's talking about World War III at the minute. World War III,
Nudge.
Yeah. Who else going to sign up for the British Army to go and fight for some other country?
No one with sense. I mean, I remember getting criticised for this back in, I think it was late last year or earlier this year, because I was accused of being a Russian Fed or working for whatever their organization is, FSB or something. Because I just thought that this is nonsense. Like, how come however many hundreds of billions or whoever much it's come to now, like send off to Ukraine. By all accounts, certainly before the war, arguably seen as the most corrupt part of the world in Europe anyway.
Yeah.
And where's all this money going to? Like, where's the sense in this? Like, if we're sending out, I don't know, whatever our Tiger tanks are, like the Germans are sending their Leopard tanks, what's it called, shadow missiles that we're sending out to Ukraine. Like, how is this anywhere benefiting Britain in terms of the actual people of Britain? Like, this is, I always make very, very, principled stand on this. I just don't think it's our fight. I don't think people should involve themselves in that conflict. And I was accused of being a Russian FSB agent, and no doubt the same is true now. Like, are you working for the Iranians in opposing in opposing the Israelis allowed to strike Tehran or whatever it is now? Like, I have the Americans actually hit or bombed Tehran, or is that still on the cards, or what? I don't know. I haven't really been following.
They've hit a one of their uranium processing centers, but it didn't fundamentally do that much damage.
No. I mean, I have seen footage on, I think it was Twitter, with Israelis looking up to the sky and seeing these missiles, I guess hypersonic missiles, coming through.
You wouldn't hear it. You wouldn't even know what happened to you if one of them came in, would you? The way they, was it Mach 13? They fly out. They hit
I honestly don't know enough about the technology that you used, but I certainly know enough to say that Iran is not Iraq. Like, Iraq was very much a walk in the park in terms of, was it less than a week in terms of the ground invasion there, and when they actually secured it, and Iran is a very, very different beast. Like, Iran is technologically competent. They are
first world army.
Yeah, like and in many respects, they're probably more technologically advanced than us now. Like that's the kind of game that we've entered into. I mean, when you've had me on the show before, we were talking about the Industrial Revolution. We were talking about very much the kind of like early to middle and late period of empire. And Britain's a very, very reduced and diminished country compared to the 1850s, 1950. And I was just going to comment on this as well as an earlier point, actually, when Rags was talking about tinkering around in your garage or fixing things. I very much get the impression, I don't know whether you guys do too, but certainly when it comes to engineering, when it comes to actually like fixing certain things, like I think you were talking about a plane, right? A plane engine, however much that costs. Obviously, that's not something that most people would deal with and tinker around with in their day-to-day lives. But when it's tinkering around with a car and making it try and work again, I feel that certainly the last 20 years or so, maybe even the last 5 or 10, the various companies that make, say, a Nissan Micra or make a car that you can tinker with, like they do it in such a way now that is actually inhibiting to the engineer, as some guy trying to fix certain things, that they actually make it so that you actually have to go to the specific brand of garage and have it fixed there at a fee. You can't simply just make alterations or make custom build things and install it yourself. Like a friend of mine, he used to have, what were they called, like neon lights on the side of his car, and this was something that he did back in the 2000s. Like, you just can't do that now. I think they banned NOS, didn't they? Like nitrous oxide. I had a friend that was interested in that, but like they slowly just began, no, you can't do that, like ban. And it seems to be deliberate in the sense that they don't want you tinkering around and doing things, alterations and what have you, for yourself, and they are deliberately incentivizing the customer base to go to their actual garages themselves and have what you want as a standard order, as it were.
But you can't even, like, there's certain, like, you need the special tools, special you need to be able to take stuff apart with them,
Just make it hard. It's not like a Ford Escort where it's a carburetor, twin 40s, and a Jan speed exhaust, and you can tinker away at it and stuff. That car that I have now, when you lift the bonnet, you sort of go, where the hell did it start? I need a computer to start with. And I need £30,000 worth of software just to read the fucking faults. You know?
Yeah.
Chris makes a point in the chat there. Canada sold 2 can-do reactors to Iran about 25 years and helped them set them up. Trump just bombed them. So, on behalf of his friends with the Roman fort that everybody likes to kiss. So.
Yeah, no, you're totally right with that, Black Pigeon Pill. Yeah, you can't. It's more control, isn't it? It's more control. You can't.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've got a brother who regularly goes on an electric car, and every day he's having to fill up for an hour for his electric vehicle to be charged, and you just see this as, you know, isn't that like just stultifying, and ultimately means that whatever function you want from this vehicle, it's not going to be as efficient as, say, a car where you fill up once and you don't have to fill it up again for, I don't know, at least a fortnight, maybe a month. But because like in this kind of brave new world that we're stepping into, things are actually more, they're less user friendly. They are difficult. They don't always work as what you would be familiar with in the past. And yet this is the kind of like world in which they want to bring about, like net zero, whatever you want to discuss about carbon emissions. Like we've had a lot of hot weather recently. I don't know how it is in your part of the world, Rags and Jacks, but they were talking about how they need to, what was it now? Like put in like certain, I'm not really competent enough to declare what it was, but they were trying to like feed something into the clouds so that they could refract the sun's rays. And it's just like, what the hell, you know, like, isn't this unnecessary? Like, surely this is just a moderately hot day, and like, it shouldn't be a problem. But here we go. You know? It's just another way to tax people, isn't it?
People like Alex Jones and there's loads of people talking about that for years, and then all of a sudden they go, "Yeah, we are doing that, by the way. We have been doing that, by the way." And they just, you know, they try and make you think these other people are crazy. Isn't it some sort of like iridium or something like that, and to try and refract?
Bill Gates talked about putting stuff up into the atmosphere to reflect the sun's rays to cool the planet down because we're going through global warming. And then some scientists came out with a chart of the world's heat from over the past 5,000 years. And the world is not heating up. According to this complete science, and Boyd knows what he's talking about, going down.
Yeah, I mean the ice sheets are expanding. They're not melting. They're getting bigger. So I don't know what that says about the global warming.
Turn the fucking frogs gay. They're turning the frogs gay.
Yeah, well, he's right. It's that. What's that stuff? Atrazine. If they put it in the water with the frogs, they feminize, so they become fully fledged fucking females that can create eggs, viable eggs. So yeah, I mean, it must be doing something to us too, and that's all comes from runoff, doesn't it? From like the fertilizer that they make you use.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I often notice amongst like liberal friends, or I say liberal friends, like the more kind of like environmentally conscientious. Like apparently we have the most polluted rivers in Europe, in terms of like England, I think, like so like your Thames, your Severn, all of these things. And there probably is some truth in the fact that I remember reading, I can't remember where it was now, but it was something about in South America, like places like Ecuador, Mexico, when they were bringing in shipments of cocaine through to, I guess, Key West in Florida. There's so much cocaine now, which is in the, I guess, in the Caribbean or the American Sea, as they call it. that apparently like the sharks are kind of like high. I don't know whether this is simply just a nonsense story and whether there's any truth in it, but certainly in the case of London, apparently there's quite a lot of like after pills, morning after pills and stuff that go in there. Cocaine as well, various other narcotics of certain kinds get flushed down the toilet and obviously run into
also
the Thames.
it comes out of people's urine as well, which gets treated.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me. You just put me onto something there. The government just passed a bill, and they all patted each other in the back and were celebrating that you can abort a child up until the point of birth, 9 months or something.
Yeah, that got passed, didn't it? Or is going through.
It's going through. I think it has to go to the House of Lords or something before for amendments or something like that there. But
I think it doesn't become law until it receives like what was it called, like something assent,
Royal
like sovereign assent. I think it needs to go to the Queen or something, or King. Sorry, I should say.
Okay.
Royal assent. That's it. Royal assent. But I guess that's the Lords, right?
I agree. I agree, Blaze. So basically, it was, what was it? Maybe the girls in the chat will be able to tell me. It was up to 14 weeks, or was it 24 weeks? Can't be.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're pushing through the bill to kill babies. Is like right up until the moment of birth. They're like they've got pretty much nailed that bill for assisted suicide now as well, haven't they?
Yeah. Euthanasia as well. So it's like both ends.
So they get you one way or the other.
You think to yourself, who the fuck voted for these people? It wasn't in their manifesto. Labour's manifesto didn't say anything about that.
No.
And now it's going through because it's got a mass majority, because the British public, the English public voters decided, sod the Tories, I'm not going out to vote. They said it was a landslide victory. It was not a landslide victory. It was one of the lowest vote counts in British history. So all the Labour, this is how they got in.
The strange thing about it, though, is that you can present any form of statistical data, and you can bet that there will be someone that's employed specifically to present this in a completely different way than what the actual raw stats would suggest, right? And then they just run with that. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that you're going to be going off and doing other things for a time, Rags and Jacks, but I do hope that you bring on Toller, Nativist if he's willing, and the Woodlander. I would like to hear from them at some point whenever you guys get together again. There's a lot more guests that I could recommend. I appreciate you having me on this time.
Yeah, the only problem is I'm with Fabris. Fabris, I see Fabris fans all around the town. Every day I see a Fabris fan, and there's always a guy with a Fabris car out with a clipboard trying to send people up to Fabris. And the place where I'm going is less than less than a mile away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fabris don't cover that. And when I phoned up Fabris, I said, I'm moving, and your man says, well, we'll just switch it. Just take your box with you and we'll switch over on the day you move. And then I give him the postcode, and he says, we don't cover that. Cover that area. So I now have to go and look for another internet provider. And the BT people, they want you to take a phone line and their internet and stuff, and it's 88 quid a month. I pay 30 quid a month for Fabris. It's the only other place that does cover over there is Virgin, and Virgin want £35 a month for, what is it, 1.5 gigabytes or something. It's what I have now. What I have at the minute. This is why I'm not spinning circles on my videos anymore, and everybody can hear me properly. So
yeah. I mean, where I live is basically a Wi-Fi dead zone. There are certain areas of the country. I mean, it's one of the things I wanted to ask about Woodlander in the sense that, he lives off grid, but he's very much online.
Yeah.
Not to diminish the guy, but there are certain parts of the country, especially if you're living in a rural area that's not very well put together off grid, as it were. There are certain zones which just don't pick up any Wi-Fi at all, or you have to pay out your nose to get a pretty, what's the word for it? Irregular signal or mediocre internet. But, yeah.
It's get yourself a Starlink set up. That's meant to be.
That's right.
good.
Yeah. I think they did actually have a rural pilot scheme, so that if you were living in an area where it wasn't there was a certain payment scheme that they set up, which was desirable to do that. I mean, I think certainly my brother would like to do that, but I don't know whether that will be advisable or not.
That's a point, because we know Bootneck. We might get discount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anglo-Saxon out there. EE. My phone is EE. That's great. That's brilliant. The speed and reception everywhere that I go. Doesn't matter where I go in Northern Ireland or wherever. I still get internet connection, and it's great. But EE don't do fibre optics to my new address because I've checked. So that'll be coming in the near future, same as fibrous. But I think my choices are Sky, BT, and Virgin for that area. So
it's funny as well. I mean, I've got stories to tell you there, because like my unfortunately late grandfather, he during his early teenage years, must have been probably sometime in the 50s or maybe in the 40s actually, during the war, when he was actually putting up the telegraph poles up and around the local kind of settlements near us, and we had some German visitors come visit my house recently, and the first thing they said is that, how come there's so many pylons? There's so they were basically saying that we're so primitive and low tech. Because I guess in Germany everything's already underground, all of these things. There's no telegraph poles or Wi-Fi internet connection that's connected up with telephone poles. That's all
the high voltage underground.
Yeah, and it's underground. It's obviously more secure, because if you all of a sudden get a sudden gust of wind or a storm, that can really do some damage and keep people out of power. But
when we had the big storms here at the beginning of the year, and that the area that my boss lived in was without power for 9 days.
I was out of power. I was out of power for 3.5 days. Everything here is above ground, and according to my MP, which is Jim Allister, I've emailed him several times and saying, why are you not putting forward an amendment to put everything underground?
Yeah.
Because I'm disabled.
No, I mean, I don't know what you, Jax, but I think I take the record for that, because I think I was out of power for 14 days.
Wow.
2 weeks.
Jesus.
Yeah. It shows you how rural it is. And obviously when something like that happens, there is a big gust of wind. It can really knock us for six.
So all the trees landing on the overhead power lines and that,
Yeah, that's probably what it is. And then obviously that takes a lot of time to actually clear the downfall of all the timber that's fallen on the lines, and then actually repair it so that it's up and working and it's not live, so it doesn't put anyone at risk. taking it, putting it back up.
Jack will tell you they're still clearing away the trees that fell in the big storm here, and there's teams of guys out 7 days a week cutting stuff down and tidying it all up and taking it away. Making it safe. And when was them storms, Jack?
Hey?
When was the storms?
Was it about February, March time?
Yeah, I think it was February, I think.
Maybe even earlier.
February. I think it was February.
I don't know when they started doing it, but they always give the storms names, don't they? I don't know whether this is an American thing, which we've suddenly picked up,
I think
because I
it is.
remember
I think it
Hurricane
is,
Katrina, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think how they just used to be known was like the big one of '87, which is what I remember. The hurricane they had in the south. I was only 6, but I remember I live near the War Memorial Park, and it's an old tree park. Like, you know, the trees have been up for hundreds of years and that. And so many of them came down, and it was a great fun because it would only be 5 minutes walk from my house. So, you know, when like an oak goes over, the crater it leaves in the ground because of the root ball. It's huge craters. So we'd be making dens behind these, you know, fallen trees and stuff like that. And then I remember when the council started to burn it all, right? They had a great big fire going up there, like for a couple of weeks. This fire was being fed. And me and my mates were only young. We went up there, and someone threw a tire on it, right? And all this thick black smoke was coming off of it. And I went home for my dinner, or went home to go in and that, right? And my dad goes, "You been near a fire?" I went, "No." He could obviously smell it off me, right? He goes, "You sure?"
Yeah.
I went, no. And he got a mirror, and my entire face was black with smoke. like a minstrel. Yeah.
I know that there's in a certain area of the country. I kind of wanted to hear a stream on this, actually, because I didn't know who you'd have on to talk about it. But there's a certain area of, I believe it's Cumbria, maybe Westmoreland. I think it's called like Eden, where like all of the various travelers go on a certain time of the year, where they have a fair and they have like their horses and they do certain races and stuff. And I think there's a river there where they all kind of congregate to. And I seem to remember that during the storm there was a lot of like fallen trees in and around that area. But apparently they did it during the pandemic. I think that's where I came across it for the first time, because there was a certain kind of urban legend or folklore story, which is that if they didn't do it at a certain time of the year every year, then the council would stop them from congregating there, the travellers.
Appleby
Appleby, that's it. Yeah, that's the area that I mean. Because I think I'm with Toller on the sense that I kind of do see them as very strong, hardy folk. Like, a lot of people don't like them because of the the lawless ways in which they live their life. But in many respects, they're kind of like a more recrudescent white figures and society who don't really care for local government, you know, and really we should be a bit more like that.
No, Toller loves it, doesn't he? Toller loves them.
Yeah, definitely. There's always like I don't know if you come across him, like Albion Forever in the chat. He, unfortunately, I haven't actually met him yet, but I hope to. He said that he's got like a certain tick list whenever Toller appears on as a guest, or he runs a show where it's like mentions Ireland, tick, travellers, tick. And there's certain like nativist bars, yes, tick. There'll be certain things that would always come up.
Pigeon, nobody fucks with them.
No, exactly. No, they don't, and that does them credit, I think, because like they are a very hardy people, and people give them a wide berth, you know.
Yep, scrappers.
Yeah,
coming out of the age.
You just don't get them to come and tarmac your drive, and you don't get them to come and fit your carpets. You know, so.
You don't buy pegs from them either. I mean, they probably don't do that anymore, but I mean, the thing that I remember reading is that there's also, I think they're called an itinerant population, which means that they're constantly on the move, like they are nomadic, I suppose. And I think it's like Switzerland, there's a certain people called the Yenish people. And in the 1970s, they were trying to make them kind of socialize or become either French or Italian or German, or adopt the customs of the majority population in whatever canton they happen to be in Switzerland. And that apparently has been scrapped, and they've received funding from, I guess We're Sorry, just in the same way that the Canadians, well, many years ago, I think they were criticized and ridiculed for their treatment of the indigenous populations of Canada, right? Like, but these people, the Yenish, I think they're called, Jhenisch, I think that's how you pronounce it, or spell it. They are, I think, just Europeans who live a lifestyle which is kind of like just out of kilter with the majority of people. They are, I guess, travelers of a kind. Because people, I don't know whether you would know this, Jax or Rags. Like, I think the Irish travelers, they're different from the Romany gypsies, aren't they? Like they live a similar kind of lifestyle, but they are different, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure that the Irish travelers are maybe different again from, I don't know, people from England who would meet and congregate at, say, whatever the place was called now, Appleby. But I don't know. I mean, there seems to be a lot of people like that up and around parts of Europe who live that lifestyle, and they, it kind of is liberating in a way, isn't it? Because you can stay
Maybe
away
that's
from
what I
governments
need
and
to try
government.
and do then. I'm trying to get in with one of their fucking travelling wagons.
Yeah.
Too long to be accepted.
South is they're similar to the Amish Black Pigeon.
The Amish, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm very impressed by what was it, the speed by which they put up barns. I don't know if I'm referring to the same people here, but I think
and that's
they're always known for
no mechanical.
No, like truly, yeah. Party like it's 1699.
That's it.
I watch a guy that he built a motorcycle, and his YouTube channel has got that big that he is making a clean fortune. And he bought land and he built a house on it for him and the wife and the newborn baby. And he bought more land and he wants to put a motorcycle museum on this land. And he wants to build another house for him and the wife that overlooks the lake. And he employed the Amish to come and clear the trees. And it cost him $6,000. And they cleared about 3 miles of trees and stripped the trees, left all the old brush stuff, cut the logs out. They're coming back for the logs. They'll use the timber, and they don't charge them for that because what they're going to do is they're going to run through their lumber yards and build stuff with it. So nothing goes to waste. So
yeah.
Well, I guess that's going to be it then for a couple of weeks, then, Rago.
Yep.
Appreciate you coming on there, Black Pigeon Pilled, jumping in.
Hey, no worries, guys. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the future. And if you wanted me to hop on again at some point when you guys are somebody rested, I'll be happy to do so. Like, there's plenty to talk about.
When's your next Jonathan Bowden thing? September time, you say?
I believe it's going to be in August, but I plan to, in September, I'm going to be putting on a conference. Hopefully it will be a big venue, so there'll be maybe 100+ seats available. And the idea is that I'm going to be talking about potentially more about the ideas and thoughts of Jonathan Bowden. Like, there's been quite a lot written about his personal life. I mean, there were one question that you asked me, Jack, about did he abuse substances? Did he have a history of narcotics and so forth? And I wasn't really able to answer that. I'm pretty sure if you consult Ed Dutton's book, there probably will be the information there, but I still don't know, to my best knowledge, whether that's the case.
I just thought it was a very sad ending,
Yeah, it is. But in a way, I think that it was willed. I'm presenting this as a kind of Nietzschean, kind of emphasizing the kind of ideas that he imbibed and wanted to embody. And I think that certainly from the correspondence I had with Troy Southgate, who was I think the secretary of the London New Right, which was his outfit from 2005 until the end of his life, I think 2012. He told him matter of factly that, he was always going to die young, and like 49 is relatively young, isn't it? When he died. But I mean, it's mostly going to be about the ideas and concepts that he kind of, championed. Like, for instance, paganism. Like, he'd often be associated with this like odal rune that he'd have around his neck. And he was not a Christian in the conventional sense. Like, you've seen plenty of marches where nationalists, like what's her name now, Jada Franson, going around with a cross. Like, he was on the other side. He would be, I guess, a pagan, in the same way that maybe Frody Midjord, someone like the Golden One, there is a contingent there which are the kind of like pagan nationalist guys. And I think that Jonathan Bowden, if not metaphysically and in terms of his actual literal beliefs in gods, like he stood and would be prepared to kind of like tie his colors to the mast of paganism. And so there's going to be conversations, I think, about that. And it's just about attracting the right speakers, and hopefully it'll be a good evening of conversation for those who want to come along.
Maybe you should think about doing a live stream of it and, charging a sort of lesser ticket price. Perhaps that could be something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to take baby steps, really, to be honest, because the first one wasn't streamed at all. It wasn't video recorded. It was very rudimentary. If we can stream the proceedings of the conference for September or whenever time it happens in September, I'd be happy with that. And the idea being that if we do this, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth times, hopefully it gets bigger and better as we proceed and progress, at least that's the idea. I don't want to be too ambitious and it just falls apart kind of thing. That's what I fear, making sure that whatever we try to do, we at least do it well within the means that we've got. But yeah, I mean, it's a good idea, Jack. And I think that it's certainly something which, for those that can't, for whatever reason, be in the country at that time, if they watch it as a live stream, if they watch it as a VOD. It
could be literally international. That's what I'm thinking.
Of course. Yeah. And Bowden is something of an international figure. I mean, this is the thing that certainly in meeting Ed Dutton and speaking about his experience writing the biography, he has fans from North America to Australia, from New Zealand back to Iceland and Sweden, all sorts of places that you wouldn't really think. But nonetheless, he did. In the short life that he had, I mean, dying at the age of 49, he did achieve an awful lot with what he did.
Yes, there were. I sit and watch his stuff there on YouTube and things all the time. And I use a lot of his memes when talking to people on X. So
yeah, like clear them out, and we're not sorry.
Clear them out.
Yeah.
Clear them out.
That's right, and clear them out.
I say that in my head. I say that in my head so often. Like when I'm in a situation, I'm like, God, clear them all out, man. Yeah, well, we'll keep at it, man. Keep at it. It's really good. I'm glad we've got young people
cheers, Jack. Thank you very much, Ragnar. Yeah. Well, we'll be in touch, dude, and we'll speak again. All the best, and when we meet up again, we'll have a chat then.
Have a good summer, all right?
Yeah, you take care of yourselves, guys.
Right, take care.
Cheers.
Right, that just leaves us to play out. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. You've all been great. The chat's been buzzing. Everybody's been interacting. Thank you, Davey. No problem. We will be back. I just have to get a new internet provider for my new place. So that might take a week or two, because according to Fibers, it takes up to 30 days for them to put in for you. So it might be as quick as a week if I go where one of the companies is actually providing over there. So that just leaves me to say thank you to Jax, thank you to Black Pigeon Pill for coming on. He's always interesting.
You can keep people up to date with your community posts, can't you?
Yes. I can.
Where we're at and what we're doing.
Keep an eye out for them, folks. So that just leaves me to say good night, God bless, or in my case, Odin bless.